Well, back home, former Defence and Government Services Minister and Liberal Senator Linda Reynolds has called for a short-term quota for the Liberal Party to increase their numbers of women in the Parliament. The call comes with just 1/5 of Liberal members in the House of Representatives currently being women. Well, Linda Reynolds joins me from Perth now. Thanks so much for your time. You've previously been a supporter of a long-term quota for MPs, say 2025, 50% women. But you're suggesting today perhaps the Liberal Party should look at a shorter term target.
Well, Andrew, thank you. The last election is very clearly, the women were sending across the nation a very strong message to the Liberal Party. For the first 40 years of our party's history, we were the party that women voted for. But after 2001, we started losing female voters, and while other parties here and overseas continued to grow the number of women they had representing the party, the Liberal Party today has its worst result this year in the election since 1993. And currently only 2 out of 10 of our members of the House of Representatives are women. Clearly, we need to do something, and I'm really delighted with the conversations that are now happening around the party, the acknowledgement that inaction is not a plan. So there are discussions happening that Susan Lee is also leading, our Deputy Leader, and I'm quite confident that, now whether it is quotas, that is certainly one option, but there are other options. But to win government back, for Peter Dutton to become Prime Minister, we have to do something and listen to women.
All right, well, if you were to institute a short-term target, what would it have to be, or what should it be?
Well, those are the discussions that the party is now starting to have, Andrew. We've had report after report in the Liberal Party over the last couple of decades. So the problem is well known, that we just simply have an informal quota for women. We still have, after all of these decades, 2 out of 10 of our elected representatives and our office bearers as women. So there are a number of options. There is certainly the willingness within the party to have reform, but again, inaction is not a strategy and it is not a plan.
So you pointed out that this morning that in the Australian, the Liberal Party lost 18 House of Representatives seats at the election and 14 were lost to women. I guess you're saying that's not a coincidence.
Look, I don't believe it is, and I know many people in the Liberal Party also don't believe that's a coincidence. We've got a review done by Brian Loughnane and Jane Hume, and I know that hundreds of people across the party are providing their points of view, and I know that also includes a lot of an amazing young women we now have in the Liberal Party. And I think it's incumbent on all of us, not just so that we can be competitive and win the next federal election, but I don't want any more young women in our party looking and saying, well, what's the point of me getting involved or having my say, because only 2 out of 10 of our elected representatives will be women. And I think clearly the fact that 14 of our 18 seats, so 14, as you said, of our 18 seats were won by women. And many of those women, particularly some of the Teals, should have been Liberal candidates, but they were not. So we have got a lot of thinking to do, Andrew, about how we listen to the message of women who spoke so loudly and clearly at the last election.
Okay, is this something you're hearing anecdotally as well? Women are off the Liberal Party?
I've been hearing this for many years, Andrew. Well before I was the Deputy Director of the Liberal Party, I've been working very closely on this issue with people within the party and also more widely. So the problem that we have is well known, and I think we have 3 decades of experience that inaction is simply not working.
Right, why? Why are they off the Liberal Party? Is it just as simple that there's all they see is men in suits? What is it?
Well, if you're talking about the electorate, I think that
yes.
Since 2001, women have been slowly but progressively turning away from voting for the Liberal Party. And while as a party, we've always been a party for women and of women, and that's how our party was started. And certainly as a government, we have implemented, many policies across women's health, workforce participation, security and safety. But those issues and what we've done haven't really resonated with women in the community. So I think we have to stop, we have to listen and acknowledge that women have for some time been telling us they're not happy with us. And I've certainly had a lot of women right across the country say very similar things to me. But the second issue is we have to take action within the Liberal Party, because we need more women actively engaged and having their voices heard within the party organisation. We need more women to put their hands up and to be elected to office-bearing positions in the party, and we need many more women being pre-selected. Because, Andrew, what is very clear in my analysis of the last election is that not only did we only have less than 30% of our candidates as women, only 21% of those won, and proportionally we lost more of our women incumbents, significantly more. So we have some systemic issues in the party that we need to acknowledge and we need to address.